Hello everyone, my name is Your German Scientist, and welcome back to the first ever devlog for my new game, The Monke Trials. This was a wildly boring experience, but also enjoyable, so if you want to see me suffer through, frameworking, scripting nightmares, and server-client security, join me as I guide you through the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So if we look over here, this is the original game that I was working on at the very beginning. We can kind of see how it's quite unpolished. You can only just move around, and there's not really much other than a throne. You can just move. I mean the model, obviously, but yeah, there's not really much here so far. So yeah, this is what it looked like originally. So over here, we can kind of see, this is just me when I was in the later stages of the process of making the game. You kind of can see, again, the later process. What I was doing here is that originally I had the idea to put a lot of the classes and a lot of the initiation on both the client and server side. If you didn't already know, that is quite a big problem, and I was requiring a lot of stuff. It ends up being a huge security issue, but so yeah, there was a lot of client-side security issues. Anyways, so that's what I am fixing in this video that you're seeing on screen. You can also kind of see me working on this state machine. So what a state machine basically does, if you don't already know, is it just tracks the state of each of the players and returns what they're doing. So for instance, if you're actively dashing, the server can request to know that, and then it will find that out. And if you are actually dashing, it will return it, and if not, whatever. That is useful for validating requests for the client, so you can't just spam stuff. There's actual cooldowns and a lot of that sort of stuff. Anyways, so that is what I did for the state machine. Now you can also kind of see, I know it's hard to see, but I worked on the module, or the movement module, and what that basically does is it gives definitions for the different movements. So for example, dashing, it basically just returns the function for dashing, and then it has a utility module, whatever, as well as sprinting. So that is basically what that amounted to. You can also see me migrating the movement module into the actual modules folder, which I will later do. That's something I plan on doing quite soon, actually, but yeah, that is basically what I did for that. So as this final kind of section, I wanted to take some time to kind of explain my process for a lot of the organization and framework I was originally discussing. So yeah, if we look over here, what this script is basically doing, I only have a total of 3 regular scripts. If you look over here, character action, service, client, and there is one more in here called server, which is the client and server are just basically for general client and server stuff, initialization and everything, and then the action service is just for receiving remote events. So I wanted to go through this and kind of explain my process here a little bit. So if we look into onAction, this function basically what it does is every time the CAS or context action service detects that you are inputting one of these things, so if we look over here, enum.keycode.w, so whenever you hit forward, or I guess W, it's going to send the package of the string W into the onAction function right here. If you see action name right here, and then basically if the action name is dashing, we send it through to a server, a remote event on the server side, and yeah, basically we also do this for the movement keys, which are useful for dashing and stuff. Anyways, so now if we go through to character action service, we're going to pick this up. This is basically detecting if this is the beginning of the input. So if you imagine, if I first press W, that's the beginning, and then as soon as I let go, that's the end of the input. So this basically files it into one of the two things. So when it is the beginning of the state, we're basically getting the client payload. So if we go over here, the client payload in the case of the dash is the active keys, which are useful for telling the dash which direction to go, and then it gets validated, yada yada yada. So if we look into here, it's basically sending the client payload into the character action script. So in here, there's not much so far, but it's all ready and set up. Basically, we just say we're going to perform an action called dash, and then we're going to send it the client payload, aka the active keys. So then we go into this base character class. This is the actual character object, or I guess it's the class, but just imagine we're using the object here in the character service, and then basically we will have a check on how exactly we're going to confirm it for each individual action, but for now it basically just goes in, tries to find the function, so it goes into self.actions, and then it sees dash. So then it takes the dash function, and I will pull this up here. Right here, this is basically just returning a function that is able to dash the character, not given any velocities, obviously, for security concerns, but yeah. So if we go into here, it is basically, if it finds a function, it activates. So in practice, I'll show this off. It's not really much, obviously, because I haven't done the animations, as I am not that sort of guy yet. It's not that point in time for the game, but yeah. You can also notice there's a slight camera sway that is intentional, and that also took me a little bit of time. Actually, I'll show it off real quick. So if we go into the replicated storage and we go into the camera service, we can see we have the camera modes. So we have camera sway, which is the one that's used. It basically just uses a lerp and then does activation and all that stuff, and this is just the brains of it. So yeah, that is the basis of what I have done. Otherwise, the only thing that I changed other than that was the camera module inside of the player module. I customized it. Let's see, in the mouse lock controller, and if you go all the way down here, instead of it being shift to do shift lock, it is now control, and that just makes it easier for sprinting purposes. So yeah, that's that. So as kind of a final send-off, I wanted to say, everyone have a fantabulous day, and goodbye, see you next time.